Good morning, students. I'm once again Arogyaswamy to talk to you about a subject called as Business Correspondence and Reporting, prescribed for BCom students of Karnataka University. This subject is also prescribed for the students of other university in other title. The title might be Business Communication or Communication in Business. So this particular subject is prescribed for the second semester students of BCom in Karnataka University. It is also prescribed in other title for BBA students of Karnataka University also. This subject is also included in the courses such as MBA, BBM or BBA in other universities of Karnataka. So this particular part of the video includes only the 50% of the syllabus, and the remaining part of this particular chapter will be released with another video. To enjoy the video or enjoy the information in a better way, try to make use of earphones. Dear students, before I go to business correspondence, I would like to talk to you about a subject which is basically nowadays has become one of the very important subject in our normal course of life, and it is also in our all the aspects of life such as talking and dealing with the people or conversing with the people, or it is also used in corporates, it is used in offices, it is also used in our day-to-day activities. So I am talking to you about a concept called as communication. When I mean communication, or when I ask you a question, what do you mean by communication? You may tell me the answer stating, sir, communication is a process of giving some information or giving some instruction, or it can be a method of sharing our ideas, sharing our informations, or it can also be a method of passing on the information or emotions or any of the knowledge that we have to the other person. When you answered me this particular manner, you are talking to me about correspondence. So the communication in this particular syllabus is synonymously used with the word called as correspondence. The word correspondence is more formal comparative to the word communication. Nowadays, whenever our office communicates with the people related to it, we call it as the office has done the correspondence to us. And we also have got separate departments called as correspondence departments in different organizations. Some of the very systematic and some of the very big organizations have got a person holding the position of correspondent also. Now we shall understand what is the meaning of business correspondence. The communication or the correspondence which is used in business is called as business correspondence in general. To make it more formal, any communication in the form of a letter is called as correspondence. Any person related to business expresses oneself through business correspondence. Anybody can also ask any doubt or uncertainty through business correspondence. A businessman writes and receives in his day-to-day life the correspondence, and we can also call them as the letters. A correspondence between two organizations or within an organization comes under this category. A letter to a supplier, or a letter about a complaint, or a letter which inquires, or a letter that speaks about job application are the best examples for correspondence. Sir, why should we have the correspondence in reality? What is the importance of correspondence? This is the question that you might ask me. A business correspondence has a number of importance. Its most important feature is the ease of reaching and communicating with different parties. So, we in our daily life or as a business organization meet and communicate with larger number of people where this correspondence comes into existence and has importance. It is not always possible to meet person face to face. So when you are not able to meet a person face to face, the business correspondence comes into picture. A business correspondence helps to meet some organizational goals also. One can achieve the objectives through a business correspondence. Let us now try to study some details of this business correspondence, and by these details we'll also come to know how important the business correspondence in day-to-day life of a business organization. The first and foremost importance of business correspondence is that it helps to maintain a proper relationship with the people who are related to business organization. It is not always possible for any business organization to reach to any person in particular. So this will cost any business. Here, the business correspondence will be a rescue for any business. It helps in maintaining a proper relationship between the parties. Business correspondence strengthens the business. It also helps in the internal communication. It makes communication within the organization more clearer, evident, and precise. Coming to the second importance, it serves as an evidence. If I speak anything orally, it is not recorded, or you cannot remind yourself of this communication exactly in the manner I communicated to you. But when you write a letter or when you give the communication in written form, it serves as an evidence. A business correspondence helps the person in business to keep record of all the facts. This written records will serve as evidence if in case of urgency or of importance in the future. The third importance of business correspondence is that it creates and maintains a very good goodwill. It helps in maintaining a goodwill between the business and the customer. Any letter of inquiry, any letter of complaint, or any letter of suggestion or of feedback helps the company to grow and maintain a very good goodwill. The fourth importance of business communication is that it is inexpensive and convenient. So, writing a letter or communicating people through a business correspondence is very cheap compared to the other manners of communication, and it is very very convenient also. In this world of technology, there are people who have not accustomed themselves with the new technologies of communication. But writing a letter or creating a business correspondence has been very old method which is understood by larger number of people, and it is very easy and convenient to do it. Coming to the first importance is formal communication. Talking to a person orally or communicating to a person telephonically need not be necessarily all the time as formal as a business correspondence is. A business correspondence or a communication serves as a formal communication between two persons. It may be seller and a buyer. It can be between an employee or an employer. The language used is very formal and logic when it comes to business correspondence. It helps in removing the ambiguity, that is, confusions, and it also helps you to remove the doubts of a person involved in the business. The formal communication is in business is followed and accepted everywhere. The sixth importance of business correspondence is that it helps you to expand and make your business grow faster. A business correspondence helps in business to achieve the set goals. It also ensures the expansion of business. With no waste of time and proper utilization of manpower and resource, a business can expand. Any information regarding some resources or any product or market can be easily done. Even the news of expansion of business can be spread by correspondence itself. So, the importance or the advantages of communication to sum up are: it helps you to maintain proper relationship, it serves as an evidence, it creates and maintains very goodwill, and it is inexpensive and convenient. It is a formal communication. It helps your business organization to expand itself. Coming to the different types of business correspondence, the correspondence is of many types. Let us try to find out which are very important for our syllabus and which are very much used in today's. The types of business correspondence includes internal correspondence, external correspondence, routine correspondence, sales correspondence, personalized correspondence, circulars. What happens in internal correspondence is it is a correspondence or a communication between individuals or within the departments or within the branches of the same organization. Here, the communication flows within the organization. There is no movement of the communication or there is no movement of the correspondence beyond the boundaries of the organization. Coming to the external correspondence, as the name itself clearly suggests, it is a communication which goes external of the organization. It is done with the people who are not internally available in the organization but are external. Here, the communication passes beyond the boundaries of the organization. It communicates to the people who are beyond the organization. It refers to the correspondence between two individuals. These are not of the same organization. Any correspondence outside the organization is external correspondence. To give a small example of the people who are beyond organization are customers, suppliers, banks, educational institutions, government departments come under the category of external correspondent parties. The third correspondence is routine correspondence. It refers to the correspondence on a routine manner. For example, in an organization, the officer usually gives instructions every day. The officer takes the reports of the employees every day. The supervisor or a controlling authority passes on certain information on a daily routine basis. This is not a very important information, but the information that is related to the day-to-day activities of any organization. A correspondence made for inquiries, orders, confirmations of orders are coming under what you call routine correspondence within the organization. The fourth type of correspondence is sales correspondence. It refers to the correspondence related only to the sales. For example, a letter written regarding the sales, or a letter or a communication written regarding the sales reports, or any invoice and confirmation of orders. These type of correspondence come under sales correspondence. The main objective of this correspondence is to communicate about the sale information. A delivery letter or a statement of accounts, etc., are also of some examples for sales correspondence. The fifth type of correspondence is personalized correspondence. It refers to the correspondence based on emotional factors. Letters of the request, recommendations, and congratulations are personalized correspondence, where the objective of writing this particular correspondence is mainly to convey the personal information or personal emotions to the person to whom the correspondence is addressed. For example, a letter of introduction, a granting and a refusal of terms of some are the some examples for your personalized correspondence. Coming to the next correspondence is circulars. It refers to a communication of a common matter to a large number of persons or firms. For example, to give you a best example, in the midst of this what you call COVID-19 and lockdowns, we come across the information from the government or deputy commissioners. We come across the informations coming from the police department. We come across the letters or the information that are prescribed to the people of the country, where the communication is not meant for a particular person, but it is meant for a larger section of the society. So when any information is circulated for a longer period of time and for a large number of members, we call it as circulars. circulars, notice of tenders, or change of address, or an opening of a new branch come under the category of circulars when it comes to business communication. An introduction of a new product is also an example for circular, where the information is circulated amongst the people who are related to the organization. Now, business correspondence happens through emails, memos. It happens in written communication. It also happens in telephonic conversation. Sometimes it happens face to face also. Now, we shall understand how a business correspondence becomes very, very effective. What makes the business correspondence more, what you call, understandable, and what business correspondence is called to be the best business correspondence. To make the business correspondence more effective, or to make more result oriented, or to make one business communication more of getting the output what it wants, or the reaching of the objectives of communication are successful through a particular principles of communication. So principles simply mean the foundation on which a correspondence has to be developed. Our principles also mean the rules which has to be followed when you are writing a business letter or a business correspondence. So why should we follow? When we follow these rules or these procedures, or when we follow these principles and foundations in our business correspondence becomes more effective, and it becomes more reachable, and the person one who receives will be able to understand this communication in a better way. So, to make the students understand, or to make the people understand and remember these principles or foundations properly, these correspondence principles are called as the 7 C's of communication. Or recently, there are also other C's added to it. Why do we call it as a 7 C's of communication? Is because all these principles start with the letter C. For example, consideration. Second one, courteous. The third one, clarity. The fourth one, concrete. The fifth one, correctness. The sixth one, concise. And the seventh one, complete. So all these 7 principles start with the letter C. So that is why these principles of business correspondence, or the foundations of business correspondence, are also called as 7 C's of communication. Now we shall understand what are these 7 C's and how do they help a business correspondence to be more effective. The first C of a better correspondence is consideration. The business correspondence should be in such a way that it indicates that you understand the reader's circumstances, you understand their problems, you understand their desire, you understand their emotions. So, the words that are used in the letter should be out of care. So, when you use the letters, or when you use the sentences, when you use the phrases, or when you use the idioms in any letter, considering the other person's problems, other person's situation, other person's circumstance, other person's desires and emotions, that person feels, yes, this particular letter is particularly or exclusively written for me. So he feels considered in your communication. It feels that this communication is exclusively meant for me. So the first principle you should keep in mind when you are writing a business correspondence, you should follow consideration. Coming to the next is courteous. The, the tone that is used in any business correspondence indicates how courteous you are towards the person one who is reading the letter. The word courteous can be explained with small examples. For example, when I talk to you in a rude way, when I talk to you in a very straight and passive way, my communication is not courteous. Instead of using rude ways, or instead of using a passive manner, if I tell you, could I make use of your pen? Or if I say, could you please help me out? Or if I say, should I have a pen? Or could you please take the effort of lending me your pen? It means that you are using a tone which is soft in nature. So when you use these particular letters, or when you use these type of sentences, it looks very polite. Any negative statement should be avoided when you are writing a letter. So any communication without any type of negativity or inclusion of the polite and soft manner is called as courteous letter. So the second principle of business correspondence is courteous. The third principle of communication is clarity. The letter should have the clarity and must not be creating any type of confusions or ambiguity in the mind of the reader. If I write a sentence to you which doesn't reach you, or you are not in a position to understand the letters, or if you are not able to understand the words, or if you are not able to understand the sentences that I have created, there won't be any type of clarity in the person, one who reads the correspondence that is created from your side. So, a third principle is clarity. Every business correspondent should have clear information about what you would like to pass it on to the reader. The fourth principle, or the fourth C, is concrete. The word concrete means specific. It means that I want to speak to you about this bottle. So instead of talking to you about the bottle, if I start talking to you about the cap or the label or the bottom or the size or the quantity or all those things, you may not be able to understand what exactly am I trying to put forth to you. So when I use concreteness in my business correspondence, I should be straight enough and I should be able to give you the specific information what is expected from my side, or what I am trying to put to the reader. So the fourth C was concrete. Coming to the fifth C, or the fifth principle of business correspondence, is correctness. If you are giving any information about the sales, or if you are giving any information about the branch, if you are giving any information about the quantity, if you are giving any information about a complaint, or if you are giving any information about setting up of any loss that is happened to the customer, you should be very, very correct when you are giving the information. For example, 99.999 is different, 100 is different. So you should not try to convince a customer that you are trying to tell 100 by expressing from your mouth 99999. So any information that is given in business correspondence should be correct. As I told you, in the importance of business communication, every correspondence that you do in business organization acts as an evidence. So when you are making business correspondence, you should be very correct when you give the information. The sixth C is concise. So it resembles another word called as concrete. Both of them slightly differ from each other, but both of them are different. Though they look very similar or familiar or ditto to one another, but there is a slightest difference between a concrete and concise. In concrete, you are giving a specific information, whereas in concise, you are giving short information. So when you make the correspondence to the customers or to any of the person, internal or external, you should not use the phrases, or you should not use the paragraphs, or you should not use the sentences, or you should not make use of the length of the letter wherein the gist of the letter is lost. So when you write a letter, or when you are creating a business correspondence, your letter should be very, very short and to the point. So when your business correspondence is very short and points out what exactly you would like to talk, then we call that business correspondence seems to be very concise. And coming to the last C is completeness. Any business organization expects you to give the proper information. Any business organization or a customer or an education institution or a bank or any of the public authorities always expect you to speak to them in complete way. When you are writing a business correspondence, you are trying to give a very important, a formal information to the people to whom it is written. So when you are writing a business letter, the information that is provided in your letter should be complete. You cannot afford to give the information which is half. When you give the half information to the receiver, or when you give the information which is not complete, the reader or the receiver or the listener or someone to whom the letter is addressed to will be given the knowledge only to the extent of 50%, 60%, 30%, or 40%. So any type of communication having not complete information in itself may give a bigger damage to the sales or bigger damage to the relationship that you have with the person. So that is why the 7C very clearly tells you that any communication done from the business organization should always be complete. So I will remind you once again the 7 C's of communication and jump on to the next topic of your syllabus. The first C was consideration, the second C was courteous, the third C was clarity, the fourth C was concrete, the fifth C was correctness, the sixth C was concise, and the seventh C was complete. These are 7 C's or 7 principles or 7 foundations of a very good and effective business communication. Now we shall study the different types of communication. The communication in today's world happens in a different manner. For example, you have got videos, you have got audios, you have got short videos, you have got YouTubes, you have got messages, you have got WhatsApp, and you have got pages, and you also nowadays receive messages through sounds. You receive some information from signals, you receive some information only through the charts. You may also receive some information through only the diagrams and images. So today's communication has grown very vast and it is very much diversified, but still whatever manner the communication that happens in today's world can be clubbed under 3 or 4 different heads. So those heads are nothing but the types of communication. So there are different types of communications. The first one is verbal communication, the second one is non-verbal communication, the third one is written communication, the fourth one is visual communication, and the fifth one is formal communication. So now we shall study one by one what these different types of communication actually mean. The word verbal communication means anything that is told verbally. So the verbal communication helps to deliver message quickly. It helps employees or any person to whom the letter is addressed to receive clear directions and rewards good performance with prompt appreciation. All these boosts the morale of the person who reads the communication. In verbal communication, the words are used. They can be both oral, they can be written, or you can also read something where the letters are used, where the words are used, where the sentences are used. In my verbal communication, what I'm doing to you now, here also you come across the words, you are coming up across the sentences, you are coming across the letters that I am using often. So any communication that happens verbally in the format of written or maybe orally can be called as verbal communication. There is another type of communication called as non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication passes on the information without the use of words. Now you may ask me a question, sir, how is it possible to pass on information to the opposite person without the words? For example, I may pass on some information by the body language. For example, if I keep my mouth shut or if I make my face frown, you understand that the faculty or the person who is talking to me is not happy. Or sometimes if I raise my eyebrows like this, you come to know that the person is astonished. Or sometimes I may close my eyes and look at you. You may think that I am worried. So this worry, this excitement, I am angry or I am sad is also a communication that I am doing to you without the use of the words. So a non-verbal communication is a communication that happens without the usage of the words, orally or written. So non-verbal communication delivers the message without the use of words. Non-verbal cues through body language, facial expression, tone or voice are given and interpreted in this form of non-verbal communication. When I shrug my shoulders could indicate indifference. For example, if I say like this, you may think that I am not agreeing with your point. So it shows I am indifferent to the point you are trying to tell me. Or sometimes, if I just wave my hand like this, you may come to know that he is saying me a goodbye. Or sometimes, if I just nod my head or if I look at that side, I am not interested in the way or the manner you are talking to me or the content you are talking to me. So these are the non-verbal communication examples where I try to communicate what is there in my mind without the use of words, either orally or written. Coming to the next type of communication is written. As the name itself clearly says, this communication is also called as black and white communication. Written communication is the one which is most trusted type of communication. For example, emails, for example, business letters, for example, projects, for example, blogs that are written, books written, or brochures or websites are the best examples of communication where there is usage of words written. This type of communication can be edited, revised, and changed to optimize the quality. It can also be kept as a record or proof for further references. The fourth type of communication is visual communication. You see and understand. Visual communication is a graphic presentation of ideas. You see something and you understand something. So, in visual communication, your eyes are more important because you see them, you visualize them, you contemplate them. So, visual are created with the help of art, drawing, sketches, charts, graphs, or infographics and videos. For example, when you're driving on a highway, you come across a board where there is an image of fork and knife. It means that there is a hotel further. When you're driving, you may find a board where a bed is showed. It means that there is hospital. Or when you're driving, you may also come across a petrol filling tap. You come to know that there is a petrol bunk in the future. Not only that, sometimes when you're driving, you come across the road curved. It means that there is a right turn. Or when you are going, there may be a round signal shown on the left side of the road. It shows that there is a circle in the further way where you are moving towards. And sometimes you shall also understand that if there is red light, you come across information in your own mind, you should stop. When there is a saffron color light, you should get ready to move. When there is a green light, you have to move. Here, the communication happens with signals, may not be necessarily all the time written words. Coming to the fifth type of communication is formal communication, about which you are going to study throughout the syllabus. We are concerned with the formal communication. We are concerned with the communication that happens formally within the organization. A business meeting, a legal document, a real estate agreement, and an appointment letter are the best examples for formal communication. Formal communication is done through defined channels backed by certain organizational procedures. Formal language and the use of jargon, hallmark of this type of communications are common. The communication usually flows in a predefined format and structure. It is very, very straight and it is very formal. There is no chance for any type of jokes that happen in communication. There is no personal touch to it. The formal communication always is to the point, and it is usually used in business organization to create seriousness among the writer and the receiver. There are certain advantages of having formal communication. The very first advantage of, or the advantage of formal communication is that it streamlines the processes in any organization. It increases the work efficiency because it is very formal. When you write a letter or when you receive a notice from the principal signed, you know that it is very, very important for me. So it creates a type of efficiency in you. It creates a documented records. Any formal communication written in letter is a format, it's a document, it is an evidence, or you can use this in the future as one of the evidence or a proof for the communication that has happened earlier. And when formal communication is happening, it reaches to the target audience in a very serious manner. So we studied today what are the different definitions or what are the general ideas about communication and business correspondence, how business correspondence helps you, and we also came to know that what are the different types of business correspondence, and we studied about the different principles of communication, and we studied about the types of communication. To remind you once again, in short, any communication in the form of letter is a correspondence. When any correspondence is used for the business transactions, we call it as business correspondence. Business correspondence helps you to maintain proper relationship. It helps as an evidence. It creates and maintains very good will. It is very inexpensive and convenient. It is what you call formal in nature. It helps to expand your business organization. And coming to the types of business correspondence, there is internal correspondence, external correspondence, routine correspondence, sales correspondence, personalized correspondence, and circular. And coming to the principles of communication, there are 7 C's, namely consideration, courtesy, clarity, concreteness, correctness, conciseness, and completeness. Coming to the last part of this video, the types of communication: verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, visual communication, and formal communication. Thank you so much. This is off for right now. Kindly subscribe, like, and tell your friends about this class. Thank you so much. See you in my next video.